All right, guys, we're back with the Screen Team. We've got movie reviews for you this evening, and we got Laura on the show. Laura has already tackled some very good movies like Trolls, also Money Monster.
Yes.
But now we are back. We've got Deepwater Horizon, and this is a film that came out in 2016. It's a disaster film that was actually based on actual events, directed by Peter Berg, and it stars Laura's favorite actor, Mark Wahlberg. Right? Mark Wahlberg?
I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but he's decent.
It also stars Kurt Russell, who's got an awesome-looking mustache in this movie.
Oh, he's crazy looking. He's very skinny. I've never seen him this lanky in a movie before. Yeah.
Really?
Not one that's come out in the last 15 years anyway.
Yeah. And we got John Malkovich with his beautiful bald head in this movie.
Yeah, and his Cajun accent.
So Deepwater Horizon, the folks out there want to know, is this a movie worth seeing?
I would say yes. It's like for me, I like the movies that are based on true events. I want to see what actually happened. Of course, Hollywood takes everything and makes it a little bit grander usually to make, to throws a little bit into the storyline and this and that. But all in all, I think this is a pretty good movie. It kept you wondering like, oh crap, what's going to happen next? And most of the characters in the movie were unknowns. I mean, like there was a lot of people. I mean, there had the 4 or 5 main people that were, but they had like the girl
Andrea,
yeah.
Andrea.
She her character, I liked her. Like she seems scrappy and she's like, to work on a oil rig with all men, I mean, you kind of have to have a little bit of a tomboy kind of action to you. And she was smart. She was actually smarter than her boss. And if you watch the movie, you'll see he was kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And she probably could have done things a little bit better if she hadn't listened to him. But, I guess protocol's there for a reason.
Yeah. The first hour is pretty interesting because the movie takes a lot of time getting to know a lot of these folks,
yes.
Kind of knowing their home life. And then when they get to the barge or the rig, and you kind of see the politics between the people who are on the rig and the oil people, the BP people, and there's a lot of tension between those two groups, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that the way they portray it in the movie is that the BP, they come on, and one of the parts that really stuck out to me was at the beginning when they're boarding for this airplane. Kurt Russell's character, Mr. Jimmy, he's the head over. He's the one that makes sure his rig is run right. Like he's responsible for it. And these 2 oil execs are going to fly out on the copter to the rig, and he looks at the guy and he's like, "Can you take off that tie for me?" And the guy's like, "No." He tells him like pretty much no, and he's like, "Why?" And he said, "Because magenta on an oil rig," he said, "that's pretty much the worst color of kind of like in your it's
bad luck, right?"
Yes, he said it's like the highest level of something went wrong on the rig. That's like the worst color you can have. Yeah. And he said, "And we're superstitious out here, so could you take it off?" And the guy's like, just kind of looks at him like, "Okay, this guy's nuts." But he takes his tie off.
He took it off, but he still took it with him.
Yes, he did take it with him. But the thing that got me was these men that are on this rig, they knew. I mean, they live, work on that. That's their whole life. That's what they know every little in and out of that rig.
Right.
And, but these guys that are, wearing their nice, fancy button-down shirts and, representing the company, they they were more concerned with the money than they were about the people's lives. These regular Joes that are out here working every day on this rig, they didn't acknowledge that they actually knew what they were talking about. And I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people in America will see this movie and kind of identify with, because a lot of times you see that in corporate situations where the guys up here, they know everything about the ins and outs of the money, but they don't actually know what's going on in the day to day.
Right.
I think that maybe it showed a lot of appreciation for our blue collar workers that are out there, busting it, getting dirty every night and coming home to their family, missing them 3 weeks out of the, 3-week shots at a time.
Yeah.
But they do. They bust their butts and they do know what they're doing, even if they don't wear a fancy suit walking around.
So let me ask you, I have a love-hate relationship with Mark Wahlberg. There's times where I like him, and other times I'm like, come on, man. He's always the hero, and he was kind of the hero in this one, too. What did you think about his performance?
I thought it was, if you see the end of the movie, you see who the guy really is. So I mean, the match wasn't real great because the guy that's the actual man in real life is like a Texan.
Yeah,
he's like a kind of a short, like, you know, just looks like your normal Texas dude, you know. And I think that this movie may not have gotten as much attention without him as the star of it. I think that people probably Mark Wahlberg, you know. But I think all in all, he did a decent job. Like, I liked his character. He was pretty told it like it was, and he was definitely for the guys on his rig, not so much. He didn't have a lot of respect for the guys up top. But
you know what part really got me? And I'm throwing a spoiler in there, so watch out. Watch out, everybody. Spoiler coming your way. The part that really got me is at the very end where they show, you know, the real people, like you were saying, and they show the people who passed away on the rig. And when they show the pictures of everybody, I was like, you know, I kind of like, I almost cried, man. It was like, oh my goodness. You know,
it brings it back that those were actual people. It's not just a movie.
It's not just a movie. You're right. You're right, man. It was a pretty emotional scene at the very end of this flick. So
I think he needs to be done with the movies that are, because they've used him in this and then in the Boston Marathon movie,
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day. Yeah. So I think that he needs to be done with the true life things because people are going to start. Well, he also did the one with The Last Survivor. Is that what it was called?
Lone Survivor.
Right, yeah. Right. Yeah, he did that one as well with that Marine that was the last one that lived in that attack.
Well, the thing, like with Patriots Day, like his character in that movie was a fictional character. He wasn't a real character. It was a made-up character to Hollywoodize it and make him the central hero of what happened at the Boston bombings. And that's why I'm like, Mark Wahlberg. But all in all, even though Mark Wahlberg's in it, I thought it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Laura, appreciate you being on the show, and we got you on with several more reviews later on here in 17 and also in 2018, so be on the lookout for Laura. You can check her out, see what her favorite movies are by going to ScreenTeamPB.com. For Chris and Laura, we are the Screen Team right here on KWOC.